Jennifer. Here. Melanie. Here. Nettie. Good to see you, Nettie. Teresa. Laura, Angela, and me.
And Eric. And Eric. And Eric.
Laura.
I don't think we put Eric on the. Yeah, we did. Oh.
Maybe you don't want yours, it is.
Oh.
Laura Altman is excused.
Yes.
Pamela Batchelor is excused. Stephanie
Is absent.
Danielle will be coming late. And Laura Rutledge.
Laura Rutledge is no longer on the commission.
Oh. Take her name off. All right.
And Iris may be joining us online, but has not as of yet.
Yeah.
But if she is not, she is excused.
Yeah. Okay, so public invited to be heard?
No.
No. Corrections to the July 20 minutes? Anybody read them? See any corrections?
I read them. They look excellent.
I read them. I only wanted one essay. Not bad, huh? So I need a motion to approve as amended. Anybody?
I move to approve the minutes.
And second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Additions, corrections to the agenda?
I have none.
Council comment, Sean, he's not here yet today. Project update, Butterfly Pavilion in Flanders Park.
You have successfully installed and dedicated your butterfly pavilion in Flanders Park.
And it's gorgeous.
It is really
Gorgeous.
It's really pretty.
Not everyone thinks so, but that's okay.
Hey, that's what makes sorcerers.
I love the gazing ball.
It's
I absolutely love the gazing ball.
Yes, I do too.
I think it's really nice.
Your press was very good. You should have seen it in the leader, the Times Call, the Camera, Reporter Herald. So really good exposure, I'd say. We counted the participants. This was very early on in the dedication, and I counted 89 more than once. So I'm gonna say 90. Some people did leave when Mother Nature decided to show up and join the party. I think it was like right when the mayor started talking, it started to pour,
Yeah.
and then right when it was done, it decided to stop. So,
But about 20 minutes before we had that, it got cloudy and the beautiful breeze came through and it was just wonderful. It was perfect.
this was the dedication that Mayor Peck read. So on behalf of the City of Longmont Art and Public Places, we dedicate this artwork to the past, present, and future residents of Longmont and our sister cities, Ciudad Guzman, Mexico. May the space of gathering be full of peace, joy, and enlightenment. May it stand to celebrate many years of successful student exchange, cultural understanding, and as envisioned by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the power of people-to-people citizen diplomacy, which is what the sister cities' original conception was all about. So
That's an odd angle of that photograph because it makes the pavilion look tiny next to the tall women over there, but it's actually pretty tall. It's actually nice.
yeah, that was a good point. And I've cropped it weird. But anyway, so on the right is Courtney Michelle, who's the vice chair of Sister Cities, and the blue dress is Jody Bliss, the artist. In the middle is the diplomat who came from Ciudad Guzman, who I do not know her name.
No, the white and red.
White and red.
No, that's not the diplomat.
The white and red is the translator.
Yes, but she came from Ciudad Guzman on behalf because their mayor was unable to
And
attend.
then,
But that other woman in high heels was the one
yeah, the other woman, all in red, was in
representing the
that
mayor.
picture. Who
Who was not in this picture.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Oh, you're right. I stand corrected. Yes. That is Anna, but also from Ciudad Guzman, but she's not.
Yeah.
that is correct, I'm sorry. Obviously Mayor Peck, our own Susan Horowitz, who acted on the behalf of our public places and spoke, and then on the left is Janice Raven, who is the chair of Sister Cities.
I thought it was a good turnout. That we had lots of kids, lots of people from Mexico, lots of community members. It was nice. It was very nice.
So those is the present student exchange, and that, you're correct, is in the
Yeah, in the red there.
that's right. City council presence, we had Councilman McCoy, of course, came. We had Mayor Peck, Susie Hidalgo Farring, who is the liaison for the Museum Advisory Board, and Shakita Yarborough showed up. So 4 of our city council folks showed up, which I think speaks to the power of the program. And then that is the storm as it passed after it was done. Yeah. So
Yeah, this picture with the kids is better for the size of the. And you know, the thing is that we saw the pictures and we saw her idea concept and we looked at her concept drawings for the colors and everything. But when you actually see it in person, there's so many little tiny details that you just didn't get from all the drawings. Like the back of all the seats are like, it's like twisted aluminum or steel and painted. It's really, really lovely.
So there was, of course, learning throughout this process, which we're taking along with us. The signs that were at the site were very successful for disseminating the message that a public art process was coming, program was coming, that the artwork was coming. Clearly worked far better than even the door hangers on the individual residences, and as well as the postcards. So good things to know, especially as we go into other projects. And you know, learning curves are learning curves. Eric and I did meet with a number of the residents in the neighborhood to hear their feelings, which are big feelings about the piece. And yeah, we're excited to move forward, and all of the feedback during the installation, all of the feedback that we received during the dedication was all positive.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, at the end of the day.
And the stamps we bought to put in the sidewalk look great.
Yes.
They look really good. There's no question these are butterflies.
Yep. And Mario Echevarria, who did not receive the commission, has gone by multiple times, and it is very complimentary and says it fits really well, and it is what the scope of work said. It should be a gathering place with some shade, and that was pretty big of him too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, you know, he's a resident, right?
He's a resident,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. Hey.
So I need a motion. Hello, Danielle. I'm checking in here. I need a motion to accept the project as installed. Anybody?
I make a motion to accept the project as installed.
Teresa? Anybody second? Okay.
Who said it?
Melanie. All in favor? So there's no taking that out, guys. That's done.
And we'll make sure that the artist gets paid and send a thank you note.
Yes.
It's so interesting to me that, you know, we go through all this process, we have all these meetings, we have all this input, we take these little details, but we really could not have done better, I don't think. And I feel the same way about the Spoke project. It had so many parts, it wasn't gonna work, but I don't think we could have done better. I love it. And I love this piece too. I know we went through a bunch of stuff with it, but the bottom line is that results count, the results are right.
Congratulations, because it certainly was a long time coming. You know, COVID can just take a walk in my book, but the fact that, you know, projects like this can persevere, and that we were able to make it for the student exchange and click all of the boxes of Sister City 2 is a testament. So yeah, there's a lot of positive here for sure.
Court Michelle got to read her poem. It was all good. It was an excellent time.
Good. All right, well, you ready to do some more stuff?
Yes.
Okay, let's get to it.
Shock art update.
That's a good picture.
Oh, wow.
So we have confirmed from the artists that we're winners, that they will move forward. We're waiting on contracts right now from legal. So I'm gonna send those out as soon as we get those back, and then training is gonna happen at the end of the month. And then I also did a little bit of work looking into the voting demographics. If you open up your blue folder, behind the agenda is just a little breakdown of some of the numbers from our voters that we could collect. Just because we're kind of considering, no one has to make a decision right now, but it's just information to put out there. But like, we had a very robust in-person voting this year.
And last year.
And last year, yeah, that was about the same. But the demographics of in-person and online versus in-person, or local to Boulder County, local to Colorado, and then out of state. And like the breakdown of the people that are actually voting on the boxes. So just something to think about for next year when we do this project once again, and how we're going to handle voting in the future.
By my tally, total votes approximately between in-person and online came to about 1,230 people.
And then I deduped, and then I went back and verified, and
No,
then.
that was after the.
Oh,
deduping.
after the deduping?
Yeah.
And I think some of the kid votes didn't have zip codes, so I didn't really have that information to like, but you, I mean.
But this was when we were tallying, this was
Yeah.
approximately what we got, 1,230.
And they
So not
came
bad
down
for
to,
a couple of weeks, right?
11 something,
So it's doggone close.
Yeah.
But it does beg the question, when you start looking at this information, which is these online out-of-state votes, which is going down, that's enough votes in one person's favor to sway a decision. And if those people aren't here, number one, and they're not seeing them in person, it does beg the question of like social media influence and the validity of, you know, how connected are you with the community at that juncture? I question that myself.
The online upstate, I can't tell you how many people I had to say, no, you can vote. Just family visiting. Family.
Does it in person, kind of like
Yeah, in person, yeah.
VPN or something like
Didn't hear you.
that? Oh, can you tell if you, like, you know, maybe you have a VPN or something and it says you're out of state? Probably.
We just gathered by zip code.
Yeah.
And we did get, I mean, we got IP addresses. I mean, there's, you know, in this day and age, you can take it to the nth degree, right? But, so I just think what Laura and I have been speaking about is that engagement piece and vested interest really in the program, not so much into an individual artist. And then, of course, there's the piece of online voting was born out of COVID. Is it relevant? Is the engagement and the outreach through online voting of shock art, is it necessary? Is it not? Have we talked to the community far enough that people don't make their way down to do, you know, in person? But it's the online out of state people, like, I don't know, for me. But like Laura said, we don't have to make any decisions today. We get to live with this data for a little bit, but certainly the task force for next year, this is going to be on top.
I want to throw this out that I have been thinking about this for the last week or so, and it seems to me that it's beneficial to Longmont to encourage everybody to come downtown and vote in person. And next year, when Instagram and everything is up and running, we'll be able to constantly pump the, oh, come and do the shock art thing. And people might be motivated and have great empanadas.
Well, and the statistics show that, I mean, it's going back up. Our
Yeah.
in-person is
Yeah.
increasing.
Mm-hmm.
And our local online votes are going down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay, this is just something we can think about again in the spring, or in the winter, when we start over again.
Just out of curiosity, does it cost us more to run online voting, or does that affect us in any certain aspect versus just doing in-person voting?
staff time.
Yeah, and we didn't have any control of the voting.
Yeah.
It's Com's team that makes it, and it also was delayed this year because they couldn't get there. How do you say it? Group in a group.
Cool.
Just
I was just
by-
curious. Yeah, I was like, I figured there was something more, a little bit more
Yeah.
that I was missing to this aspect, and that's why I was.
Yes, staff time for the most part, because then we also have to count and go through all of them and.
That backside for sure. Nobody
And
looks at that backside.
The deduping
Yeah.
is so not fun. It's not fun to see when people are being gross.
Yeah.
And like making up email addresses and only voting for one box, and it's kind of so But
It's a bummer.
at the same time, we do think that our team has been reusing a format, and then it broke. So for a certain amount of time, we're like, voting is up, because we had this window of time,
Yeah.
and it was broken.
Or was it working on some browsers or
And then
some?
on others,
operating
it was
systems.
fine, and it just looked
Okay.
bad, like the optics of it was gross.
Totally.
So we learned our lessons. We need to start with a fresh template every time. The photos came out better this year, but the other thing that we discussed was some of the photos of some of the boxes that were not executed very well looked much better in the photograph than in person.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I can totally. That's usually I feel it's the opposite. Usually pictures and things like this, but
So like the quality of the artist's hand is certainly lost in that translation.
I like that.
Photography?
Yeah.
So we contacted the artist to tell them they won?
Yeah, the artists know now, and we publish it online on Facebook, that of the winners. Yeah, we just are waiting for legal to get back to us so that we can execute contracts.
So has everybody seen who the winners are?
Oh,
this year?
boogers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
That wasn't
That would
nice.
be the bottom line.
Sorry.
I think I saw it on Facebook.
It was on
Yes,
Facebook.
It's in the current projects. It's Shocker. So social media probably.
Okay, so there's a part of me that feels like if the newspapers and everything promotes like you can either vote in person or online, it gets it becomes more inclusive. But obviously there's some problems with it too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's more inclusive, but if everybody that votes on one, half of the people voting online are cheating.
Right. No, it's not
You know,
correct.
that's not great.
It's
So,
going down.
so these are the winners.
Oh, cool.
And the reason you're doing 6 this year is you have one artist from last year that was unable to execute their contract in a sufficient amount of time. So she will be doing her piece from last year. We have one that, the Geely Wolf piece on 66 and over, that has been tagged by Black Rust-Oleum. So I've met with your contractor who is actually going to, he took a test, removed the graffiti guards into, and it's taking off the mural as well. So we're gonna do spot patches there, so that's no big deal. And then of course you have the mushrooms, which the sealant needs to be taken off, and then the mural needs to actually be finished, and then we'll seal it. So we're working with 9 artists
Is
this
she
year.
gonna have to redo the whole mushroom one?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
It depends on how well the sealant comes off with the sealant remover, and sealant is not made to be removed.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll find out. We're working with a new contractor this year. I'm excited about that, but we'll see. The dollars are still outstanding, but it's nothing that you'll have to worry about because it's all in the same realm. But but 10 artists total, working with 10 artists at any given time, like, that is the ultimate, that is the most amount. So this year it's 9, and then next year when we get back up and going and get to start fresh again, we'll consider what that looks like, but
Which
Seven.
one from last year did not get completed? Do you
the end
remember?
of holes. It was the mountain, there's a moon and then there's the sun, and it's like
Stars. Okay, so
It's a
where,
landscape.
where does that go? Because I know where it should go.
It goes in a park down south.
Because just for a vegetables, that would look great next to the Taco Bell one.
She's already
I know.
contractually obligated to her.
I know.
That's
I think it's in Z.
because I moved it.
Oh, actually.
Is there any possibility of having it maybe somewhere like the library? I actually think the spot that the voting happens right now is really good. There's a lot of space, but just with so much foot traffic of people in the community at the library, there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It could be tight, but if that was an option, or maybe for like 1 week or something, it was at the library or a place like that.
Yeah, we can absolutely ask, the world is our oyster for next year. I think we probably would keep it in Old Town Marketplace and do it in the library. We've, in the past, before my time, no, actually, one year. It was, here as well. So
Okay,
we
yeah.
could travel them around. We want to make sure that the communication was very clear from the very beginning, like, this week it's gonna be here, this week it's gonna be here, and this week it's gonna be there, but moving them isn't that hard.
It is nice that Old Town Marketplace is gaining some traction the last couple of years. And there's some cool stuff that's finally popping up in there. Because like the first year of AIPP, I was like, ugh, like what is this place? And then like,
Was
but
like
now
empanadas
it was
only.
like, there was only empanadas in there and everything else was closed. And I was like, this is odd.
Yeah.
And then now I feel like finally, like the last few years, they've developed some nice things in there. But I've always thought the exact same thing. But I just like, it's been nice that they're starting to get a little traction in there. We'll see what next year comes, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and we'll get it started earlier next year as well. The painting though has to happen in the fall. It just is not conducive to Colorado spring weather. You get a
Or
good,
summer.
and summer's too hot.
Yes.
Because the adhesion of the paint doesn't work. So that's the location was Mountain and Turn, and I can show you the picture of the boxes.
Yes.
No.
Not that one.
It's not that one? Is it not that one? Oh, do I get them confused? House and Holtz? Oh, yeah, no. It is that one.
Yeah, that one's already by the, that was by Oxford
It
Blades.
is Holst.
So it is the mountains in the middle?
It's that.
What about the big one didn't know?
The big one it's installed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Hoover.
It's on Hover and left hand. No, it's Sunset left hand.
Oh, okay.
I see it every day on my way to work.
So this woman has an art therapy company, and so that's one of the things we got hung up on was liability if she was gonna have other people who weren't trained through LDC.
Yeah.
But as I understand, she will be painting it herself, as it should be.
Okay.
There you go. Shop art questions?
It's very interesting that the Colorado seeds are so popular. But one of the strengths I really think about our shop art program is that we have everything. We have everything. I mean, I've heard that there's some cities where the boxes are painted, but they're all like music themes, or they're all like local history or whatever, but ours are like everything, which I love.
Everybody votes for and loves the landscapes, and they all love to see them around town, but everybody has a favorite one that is not a landscape. Yeah. When she
Yeah,
asks what's
so
your favorite,
true.
thing, oh, it's the mouse and the cheese, or oh, it's the butterfly wings, or oh, it's she can have landscape, but everybody votes for all the landscapes because they're so pretty.
Yeah, I know, it's quite, the psychology of the chalk boxes is really hilarious.
And this year was dinosaurs.
This year
Like,
was
what
nice.
is up with that? Like, all of a sudden, like, dinosaurs and mermaids.
I know, beach
I know,
fish.
Jellyfish.
Yes.
I don't get it. Collective consciousness, I guess.
To hear maybe from the winners was like where their inspiration came from.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So that is good social media.
That is a super good question.
Instagram, when they're painting, you can go around to everyone.
Oh, we're playing, don't you worry. I have
Opportunity.
artists.
Okay,
You said, ask artists their inspiration. I would love to know where Travis, he's the one, he comes out of the box so many times, but works with them. He's the one who did the love piece and then did the sandwich this year. He always does something so different from everybody
I
else.
love that, I love it a lot, I love that.
That was
Just
the
see it.
sandwich, you know, that was the sandwich, oh.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Moving right along.
So, Unity,
Oh.
GWS, which is
Growing Water Smart.
Growing Water Smart.
So Growing Water Smart project at Kensington Park on whatever day that was, Saturday the 29th, was successful. There were about 50 people who came out, and it was interesting talking with Community Neighborhood Resources about the food truck and how they got the food truck to come and say they like paid $1,000, purchased 100 dinners, and hope for the best. And that's the way they did it. Everybody got 2 tacos and a drink. I had 2 horchatas, they were delicious. And yeah, people were driving by and stopping. Next Light was there with their big van giving out flyers and sunglasses and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, their dot matrix approach was so not what I was expecting at all. I thought they were going, the way that they had made it sound was like they were going to actually have like a landscape architecture kind of design of like what plants they were talking about and like that. And the woman from Botanic Gardens wasn't there, which was a little disappointing. But needless to say, as I understand, native plants and plant selectives gets kind of hard to do and acquire in the fall, and so that's why they weren't super specific, is because it's kind of dependent upon plant availability. But I did find out that a lot of these native plants, fall is a great time to plant them because it gives them an excellent opportunity to root. So if you're a gardener, there you go. Mario was there, that's him in the bottom left in the blue. He stayed the entire time, talked with every single neighbor who came, and one woman, well, more than one person stopped to freak out and say, "You're not removing that sculpture, are you?" So that was my job as like director of reassurance. No, it's okay. And then he got to say, "No, that's my sculpture, and this is why we're doing it." And so it really did come full circle. The most interesting thing that happened was a woman did stop. She was hesitant and she was worried that something was going to happen to it. And she said that she was a participant when she was 9. And she and Mario went through his like bound book, and there was a picture of her and her brother. So that was super cool. All of this to say that this program, I think, is an excellent example of multiple departments in the city working together for a really great cause, for a common good, for education that we've been talking about, the outreach piece of it. And I won't be surprised if after this project happens and they, start looking at the next turf reclamation project, it's not going to be focused around our public places, but I imagine the desire for a project is going to come forward. So as you consider where you want to put those dollars, the other piece of it too is there's $25,000 state funds that is coming from this, and we would be able to match, or we would be able to in some way, shape, or form contribute. So just as time goes on, just remember this one for the future. And no Sean.
Looks like they chose grass alternatives.
I think grass alternatives is the winner. Yeah. Oh, the other piece is that not only did they do the in-person aspect of this, they also did postcards to the community with a QR code to send people online to vote. So they too are trying to get a grasp of the community from a wide swath. And the other piece through that postcard is to let the people know when the planting is going to be, which is on your agenda on the back is that September the 23rd. So, yeah, I imagine that grass alternatives is probably where we're going.
Okay,
Sweet.
thank you very much.
All right.
Play-by-play maintenance, kindly.
So I have spoken to artist JC Milner about the project. I have reached out to the manufacturer because I do believe that this paint is still under warranty. And Laura and I did a audit of how much touch-up paint we have left. Contractually, the artist can be paid $40 an hour. I let her know if that she was agreeable, and she said, "Yep, I think it'll be about 15 hours, $600." That said, chances are we're gonna have to order more paint. So I'm making a recommendation of at least allocating $800 in this year's budget. The other thing that's a little bit of a bummer, but I actually think it's probably okay because we're doing touch-up, is the artist is only going to be available to work on a Thursday and a Friday, not on a weekend. I mean, it was a community paint to begin with, but this is going to be detailed work that we need to stay in the line. So
Yeah.
probably less volunteers, a little more time. Other than that, I could look at other weekends that she may be available, but we don't want it to be too hot, and Farmer's Almanac says it's gonna be a nasty winter. We're probably already stretching it into the beginning of October. But those are the dates that she's committed to. If you are agreeable and allocate those dollars, I'll get her under an amendment to her contract pronto.
Did you guys go around the sidewalk and look at the ones that were sealed?
I should have been holding up much better. So the same contractor who I am working with for the shop art boxes is going to recommend a sealant. In addition, I mean, there's always the option, and I hate saying this, it makes me kind of sick, but like, we could remove it and put down some sort of epoxy primer underneath it, and then paint it and then seal it, or we can fix it as best we can, and then we seal it, and just, you know, it's probably gonna have to be repaired, you know, once every 5 to 7 years. That's what we were expecting. We
Yeah.
weren't expecting 1 year, but that's why we were testing it.
And you do think that it was water? It looks like use to me.
I don't think it's a year.
It's tough that we had the wettest year that we've had in Colorado.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
it was like a combination of the two is what my guess would be, like clay and the
Yeah.
intense moisture this year.
Right. I need a motion to allocate, we're thinking $800 for maintenance of this site.
I think at least 8.
I'll make a
The
motion.
gallons of paint are $50.
Do you think we need more?
You don't have to use it all.
Yeah,
That's
a good
true.
point. I'll make a motion to put in $1,000 to get this
$1,000.
project fixed and
Okay.
everything going.
So,
To get fixed, make a motion to, I don't know, that's right, $1,000, make a motion for $1,000 fix to get this project back on.
maintenance for
Maintenance,
maintenance.
for maintenance of this project,
Second,
of the Kylie project.
all in favor? Okay.
Fantastic, thank you. Get that rolling. And then on the back where of your agenda, it has dates, don't hold, save the date. Please. It will be an all-day thing.
Okay. And we probably won't be painting, but we'll be
Painting, what we won't do is put a giant call out to the community. We're gonna have to be pretty targeted, I think. We have some great volunteers who expressed sincere interest in more things, and we're very dedicated, came out of 9th and Alpine. And then, of course, I have all the volunteer lists from Kylie when we did this the first time. Unfortunately, it's just one of those situations where we can't just have moms with kids going rogue with brushes.
Yeah.
We need to stay in the lines this time around.
Looks like a job for a roller brush.
Yeah. And not 100-degree weather.
Yeah. Right.
Hopefully. All right.
Okay, so that brings us to story tour update, Laura. Laura. Is it Laura or Laura?
Okay. You can chant me. Laura.
Okay. All right. We'll be running again.
So I was tasked with taking over the tour from Miley's time here. And I have everything uploaded to the website, and I recorded my voice of the text. Should we listen to it?
Yeah, we should.
It's in the back of the folder that I gave you. It's like a how to access the actual thing, because it's locked right now. But yeah, I have literally read this so many times, and then also listening to my voice is like, makes me want to just like pull my ears off. So I would appreciate it if when you all have time, just go through it, review it, basically, I think it's pretty much done. I just, again, like I cannot look or listen to it.
Lessons we receive as
Oh!
invites people of all ages.
This is also me sitting in my closet.
I love it.
It sounds good.
This artwork is donated in memory of Nancy Louise Nixon, a cherished teacher and member of the community.
It sounds so good. It's so good.
No, it sounds so good.
It sounds really good.
I love it.
It does.
Good job, Laura. So we just need to read through and make sure you didn't miss any words
Yes, it's spelling queen.
or paused for too long. Like
I
Jack
will
Nicholson.
definitely pause for too long.
I think where we are in this project with these two initial launches is we're at feedback stage. This is not forward facing as of right now, and we also need to send it to translation and get the Spanish piece done. So visit it, spend time with it, go stand in front of the piece with it, choose one. And then listen to it when you're not in front of the piece. Like, is the content right? What are we missing? Because we can always make changes, but the goal was to get this completed up and running for fall. So in stage 1, like this content, we're done with this content. But we can always make changes. So
And both of these, like actual, I did them because I went around and I took photos of everything. Very easy to do. I'd say like the downtown one is maybe a little like far because you have to go from the Civic Center to brick sculpture. But honestly, like, I don't know, it's a nice walk, especially if it's nice
It's
outside.
4 blocks, so it's not bad.
Yeah. I guess the other one that was like, make the Los Arcos is like, in 6 different places. So you can kind of choose, and I went to the one that has the other sculpture, which is Bite to Your Roots.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice little tour. And then, I need somebody else to look at it because I'm tired of looking.
Will do.
Thanks for doing
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Laura, for doing that.
Thank you.
I'll get it.
Okay.
New business.
All right. Does anybody have any questions, though? Okay. All right, folks. So as you know, the executive team gets together every fall. We had not gotten together in the spring, and our goal was to do quarterly. I'm going to admit, we just haven't been great about it, but that's okay. We reviewed, of course, all of the finances, where we are, and as you'll recall, of course, we had a backlog of the projects that we're trying to get going over COVID, and then they finally started hitting all at one time. Got those off the plate, re-looked at the queue of projects, and the executive team has narrowed it down. So we'll start with the first one, and probably the most important one, is the Pratt Bridge. So Pratt Bridge, of course, is nearly, as far as I can tell, $30 million project. So our resiliency frame has contributed significant funds to our public places. That said, some of those dollars aren't always from the city budget. There's state and other dollars related to that. Doesn't really matter. Resiliency frame has funded quite a bit. So I'm gonna go a little back and forth, but this is the Pratt Bridge. It is done, and these bridges, so it's gonna be the one on Pratt, South Pratt, so just very close to here, kind of near Bootstraps. Everybody know where we're talking about. It's the red circle, so the big two, you guys, Kent Pratt, and then that's Maine. So South Pratt, and then just straight up. And of course, it crosses the river going north-south, and then Boston, which is going to be its sister bridge, exactly the same design. It's the east-west version. That bridge is funded, is bid out, construction is starting presently, and it won't be done until the end of 2025. So of course, the bike route, which is going to make lots of people very grumpy, is going to be closed, of course, from Boston and then up through Isaac Walton, which of course is the top left corner. So that's where our Gathering of People project is happening as well. So it's a good time to be addressing Pratt Bridge and turning something into something lovely. So our residents are seeing that action is happening because they're going to be grumpy about the closure. Square footage of this project is approximately 970 square feet. So this area here, all along and down, this is about 99 feet from side to side, and then this is about 4.5. So it's about 970 square feet.
Is that both sides?
Both sides, yes.
That's 970 square feet plus 970 square feet?
Mhm.
No, so it's 400 and something.
420, and 430, whatever. Yes, so that's true, addressing both sides. So I did research into a number of things. First, of course, the machinery that it's going to take to get down at the location site to get somebody up, right? To work on it. And then we wanted, the executive team talked about, of course, complementary to the Main Street Bridge. Yeah. So we're talking about this area here. Right. Our friends in engineering, they said, you could do something here. I'm sorry, that gets tagged so hard. And so does this area down near the river. And when the river does swell, because it's going to, then that ends up being underwater.
Yeah.
So it's a suggestion of engineering and everyone that this is probably the best zone. These caps are a done deal. We're not going to remove them or anything like that. But so something that would complement Main Street Bridge, probably colorful. The bridge is so stout, it can hold anything. It can hold a ton of weight. So I started doing research into
we have been talking about it, commemorating the flood.
Yes.
It's been 10 years, even though this won't be done this year probably.
Oh, it won't be done this year, but we could start the call saying in commemoration of the 10-year anniversary of the flood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we should. Mosaic. So your piece that is on Main Street is recycled, upcycled glass. This bridge could absolutely 100% hold a giant mosaic. The cost of mosaic work in the public art realm at this point in time is somewhere between $450 and $550 per square foot. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. You know, it's laborious.
Yeah.
I get it. That typically is when an artist applies Mosaic to a mesh and then installs the mesh. But what we could do, and what the executive team spoke about, and Craig, fill in here anytime, is mixed media. Not just a mural, but a mural and. A mural and. If we did $80 a square foot, which in essence is like 1/5 Mosaic, right, to mural at a suggested price of a $75,000 project, it's like $80 a square foot. That's what I'm suggesting. It's, there are ample dollars in the Art and Public Places Fund. This project, you know, if you see fit for it to be more or less, I'm all ears. If you would like more research done into it, absolutely. I am 100% prepared to launch and start this scope of work, get our selection panel here figured out, our task force here, start recruiting selection panelists, and try to get an artist encumbered and under contract this year. So think about that. Go ahead.
Would it be one artist doing Mosaic and?
Correct. The other thing to note is Boston Bridge is the sister project, and so depending upon this, we could, if we narrow it down to a number of artists, we can always come 2025, consider, you know, duplicating and doing, if we find more than one project that we like. We wouldn't want to get that artist under contract, we wouldn't want to promise them, but
Yeah.
we can always revisit it at that time. So there's that. Anybody else have questions on this one, or should I just keep going?
Just a brief comment.
Yeah.
We do have a mixed media Mosaic and other stuff in the one called Along the River in Rogers Grove.
Yes.
And so if anybody wanted to look at that and get an idea, that's, you know, it's just a small on the side of a building, but can give an idea. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah. It
So
makes
do
media
we want
important.
to, do we want to vote on money?
Well, so why don't you let me show you the other two things
Okay.
that we were talking about first, just to, you know. Oh, and I should say, when encumbering dollars, if you vote on the project of the dollars, if we need to allocate or appropriate more dollars in this year's budget because we get an artist and we want to go under contract, that's not a problem. We can always do it. If we do make a motion, we just don't. What we don't want to do is say to put it this year. Like we just we call the dollars, and then if it falls to this year or next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's preparation. There we go. So the Parks Department is doing what's called the 8 and 5. I don't know if anybody has heard about this, but they are really spearheading a large number of projects in a short period of time. I have been invited to finally the design meetings that happen on the regular for these two parks. They're both neighborhood parks, Clover Meadows and Fox Meadows. Apparently we name all our parks after meadows. So, I do not know anything more about this project except the location. And I was told that both of the parks, including, they're putting an AstroTurf in another place, was $4.5 million, but that's neither here nor there. So here is the location of Clover Meadows Park. This is Airport. This is Heather Hill, I guess, which is going to be going through, and then that's like a Renaissance and Pike Road. Does everybody know kind of where you are? 75th is here. So we're way west and south.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Do you want me to pull it up on Google Maps?
Was this the,
Maybe that's not called Pike Road. Well, Pike.
Well, there's Clover Basin, that's like all the way to the top.
All the way at the top.
And then
This is Airport.
so like it's pretty far west.
Way far west, right?
I think almost to hygiene.
Goes-
Yep. So yeah, and Clover Basin comes down here, so that's Clover
I
Basin.
think like
70.
down here would be 119th.
Yeah.
Goes right to hygiene. And
Yeah.
It goes between, diagonal
Yeah.
and hygiene.
Does everybody have a good sense of like where we are?
Yeah.
If not, I can pull it up on Google Maps. It's no problem. So this is the approved design at this point in time. Restrooms, a xeric garden, nature themed playground, open space with flexible use lawn, so a lot of natural outdoor fitness stations, a concrete trail, hammock and slack line, a bridge with a ditch and boulder play. So there's some water, soft surface trails. I can't read that. Something about a track. Bike skills and pump track, and then more natural open space. So the Parks Department is working with an outside contractor on all of these. Again, I don't know much more than the Parks Master Plan, of course, always has neighborhood parks having something as an identifier, an identity issue, artwork for the community. So we'll just be like wrapped all up into that. And it'll start pretty much right away.
So I'm slightly unclear.
That's right.
They want an art project there
Yes.
and they don't care what it is.
I don't know. I've never been to a meeting. I go on Tuesday.
Okay.
So these
You
projects
said there was a
are
bridge?
underway.
Which means
Bridge,
you go to-
ditch, boulder play.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be that right there.
Is number 8, which is
Right by that brown line, go to the northeast.
Oh, it's in the middle.
It's, yeah, it's
Near
right
the,
here.
the elbow.
Yeah.
Angela, which meeting do you go to? The department meeting or the board, the parks board?
I'm going to the project managers meeting.
Oh,
There's like 8 different, there's a single project manager for this project, Steve Ransweiler. And then there is other park staff, and then there's the contract, the outside contractor. So they've done a number of community meetings. The community neighborhood resources folks are involved in all community projects going forward, as it should be. Project management in the city, they're taking a very new approach, a very holistic approach. It's time consuming, but it's completely worth it. So I think they're roping us in maybe a little late, but early enough to give us an opportunity to hear the community, what it is, how they would like to identify themselves and see themselves. So I'm going to this meeting, like I said, on Tuesday. But again, it was a $4.5 million project.
There's always bike racks, right? Every park wants bike racks.
Possibly.
But so, from what you have here, we don't know the exact size in terms of like acreage or square feet. We don't-
I did see acreage on the web. Just a second. Oops, that's what I'm on. 6.84 acres.
Okay, oh, this is a nice size. Okay, good.
Yeah, all right, well.
And so next month you can report back about what they think they want.
Yeah, I think going to them with an idea of dollars that we could spend would be prudent. And then again, looking at what you have in your budget for this year, which we can tell them.
Didn't you say this the other day that you think we're gonna have about $45,000?
So we have $171,000 of asset money that would be ample. It would be prudent to attempt to encumber and get underway by the end of this year.
Okay.
So if you spent about 75-ish on the bridge, and then you spent 45,000 on these two parks, so this one and then
45 each, right?
each.
Yeah.
Let's look at the other one.
So the other one, does not have an approved design. I reached out to Steve today and, I didn't hear back from him, but I know that they have been working with the community. So this is it's called the Fox Meadows, but this is Fox Hill, right? And it's to the west, so County Road is here, and this is 9th. So everybody know where we are?
Yeah.
Now,
It's sort of like, it's a little bit south of, what is it, Jim?
yes,
And it's south of the one that has the mural down.
yeah, and the high school, Trail Bridge, right?
Okay.
Is that up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing, being done in 2 phases. The community input and I mean, construction and bidding is absolutely underway.
It's north of the hospital.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, I know that area.
Yeah. So there's these are the projects coming out of what we know where Parks Department is, and I have been now assured from multiple employees in the Parks Department that this isn't lip service like some of the other parks projects that we have been told that are going under construction and still have not broken ground in years. This is happening, and it's coming from the tippy top. So I am assured that if we get an artist under contract, the artist is not going to be waiting around to install.
Yeah.
This is happening in 2024. So when looking at the queue of our public places projects, that's one of the reasons that the executive team has narrowed down these projects. And then maybe before we go too much further, low-hanging fruit, the vintage traffic boxes, working with the archives, and we have a copious amount of fantastic archival photographs that would work in vinyl wrapping on these boxes. I'm doing the product research right now, but talk about bang for your buck and maintenance ease, these are fantastic. So depending upon what dollars are left and what we're able to encumber, and who decides to be on the task force for doing the research of these, we can decide how many we want to do. And it would also address the feedback of desiring to have art in public places all over town. We're addressing a lot in the south part of town right now. The city does not own a lot of land, not that people know that, but doesn't own a lot of land up north, so that's one of the ways that we could address.
There are these, like downtown, there are these on every corner.
Yeah, they're at every intersection,
Yeah.
right? Because they're traffic control boxes. Yep.
Yeah, one of the things that we did talk about is about having more kind of pocket art, not that this is exactly pocket size, but more kind of surprise things that you can spy around town, and it just makes our town so rich to have this. And this one is just so easy because we don't have to pay the artist, we have access to the photos already, it's vinyl wrap, you know.
And they're easy to replace if they get damaged.
Right, and it'll definitely increase the richness of the town and the downtown. So
Can it be text at all?
Yeah, it's a vinyl wrap.
it could be text and QR code.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
They're really cool.
Oh, absolutely, like a label on the
Yeah.
bottom or something, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then depending on how well the tour app goes, then this
Yeah.
could be one of the next things that we dive into.
Yeah.
So I don't like calling projects low hanging fruit, but it's true, like this one is a great one. Yeah. So here we are, so second half of the year and looking at responsibly, of course, putting these things forward. It would be absolutely, of course, preferential to get the Pratt Bridge started right away because of the 2013 pieces of it. We'll work with our comms team. I understand that they're doing quite a bit in September to let people know about commemoration of the flood. Of course, the museum is going to have an exhibitions in this room, so that we'll be able to tap into that and say, this is the contribution from our public places to memory, and the arts ball is underway, is a great way of doing that. So, with that, does anybody have questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
If we allocate this money
Yes.
this year,
Yes.
and it turns out that what we want is gonna be more expensive, can we add more money next year?
Mhm.
That's my only question.
So for everybody who wasn't at executive committee meeting, what do you think? You like all these projects, like these ideas?
Can't move forward.
Okay.
All right, so,
Good question.
so we want to encumber some money.
How much do you want to put it out for?
Okay, what about Civic Center 2D? We're not talking about that.
Well, let's do the money, because that isn't money right now.
It's not money? Okay,
Or is it? Am I wrong?
I don't know. We don't have to.
I think we should probably talk about
Okay,
these 3 big projects, and then we can talk about the 2 little ones.
All right, that's good. Okay.
But this is,
all right, so we, in the executive committee, initially thought 75,000 for this bridge. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Is everybody willing to?
As long as we can adjust it up if necessary, I feel comfortable with it. I think we might have some surprises,
Yeah.
especially with the 3D piece. But
If
if
we
we can adjust it,
really want some kind of mixed media, it might be more than that, so.
the other thing you can do, of course, is you could create an RFQ with a range, and you put the scope of work out that you are looking to address this with a strong project between X number and Y number. You put that RFQ out. You, of course, get your task force together. You still get a selection panel together. You get all of your qualifications. Those people go through, narrow it down to the artists who create proposals. Then, of course, we pay those artists to create proposals. They put the proposal together, and they say, my proposal will cost X number of dollars and X or Z, and that would have to be between X. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
You
we
can
would
always-
pay them, we would
you can
pay
always-
them something for their work on this proposal.
Always. You absolutely 100% can do that. And in this fiscal year, in 2023, you have 171 that we could encumber without having to reappropriate dollars. And Eric has assured me, and I'm sure Sean would agree, appropriating dollars is not a big deal. So, you have to go to council, and it's budget time. But we just,
It is budget time. Just keeping that in mind.
Which is not like Miller time.
but,
It's not.
I don't know about after council.
There's a lot of discussion, and, things that bring value to the community are the things that, and this does bring value to the community. This is such an important community aspect that people can say, yeah, it increases the value of my home, increases the walkability and the view of the community and everything. So, other communities don't have this, so it's not them, but on us, we made sure this is a priority. And I think that budget-wise, we can certainly squeeze a few things in there.
And this is fund balance, it's already within our public places
Right.
fund.
Correct.
So we're not,
You're not expanding.
not taking it from anywhere else. This is money that's already dedicated to our public places.
Correct. And so, just to put in perspective, we have 171,000, and these are asset dollars we're talking about. So we're not talking about operations dollars, we're talking about the line of purchasing, okay? So this year, we have 171, and in the budget for next year is 250. So you can still appropriate the dollars of the way that they should be spent tonight, and then if the parks projects need to go over into 2024 fiscal year, then we just do that.
Okay, so this is hard
Back
for
to
me.
the bridge.
Back to the bridge. Well,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I don't do this well in my head. The
Yeah.
$45,000 or $50,000 a piece for the parks. Do we need to do that in 23?
No, I think to get this project started, an allocation of dollars would be most prudent, so we can start the artist hall piece of it. On the two parks projects, having an idea of how much you, as an Art and Public Places Commission, feel comfortable assigning to those projects, so when I go into these design meetings, I have a leg to stand on a bit, would be helpful.
Well, I just think that if we say, oh, I'm rounding this because it's easier, $50,000 to spend on this park, and all they want is 3 bike racks. That's a lot of money for a bike rack.
They don't get to choose what the art is.
Okay, good. That's a good answer.
You get to choose what the
All
art
right.
is. They're going to lend themselves to irrigation is planned here. This would be an appropriate place for our design. Things that we could envision are, the community has said, we'd like to see here at Art and Public Places is your opportunity to ask the community what they would like to see. All of those things are going to come to light, but if I can go in and say, Art and Public Places Commission is considering or has allocated $45,000, if we need to go up from there based upon what the community wants to see. If they want to see a Chicago bean, I'm gonna go,
They want to see Winnie the Pooh running across
bring about, but they could say we have this much square footage and we'd like to see something musical. Then I'll do the research and say musical things cost about this much money, come back to you and we can,
Okay.
move dollars around.
So if we vote tonight to allocate 75, 45, and 45, that's just encumbering those funds, but they aren't written in stone.
It's just allocating.
Just
Encumbering is when we actually go under contract with an artist.
So it's allocating this money, but it's not written in stone. And can we decide, do we need to decide now if we're going to do an RFQ or if we're just going to do just a straight call for artists? Are those the options?
Your options for commissioning artwork are 3 ways according to your guidelines. One is best practice, which is an RFQ. That basically says we are looking for, it's like hiring someone for a job, just like any job. We are looking for these qualifications based upon the kind of artwork that we desire, and we would like anybody who's interested to send us an example of your previous work, and then it's narrowed down to an RFP. At that point, that's when you are asking a short list of people, and the task force and the selection panel will decide what that short list looks like. And then those people are coming together and they're putting a proposal together. That's doing work. And so we pay the artists at that point in time to do the work, and then the artwork is selected on that. RFQ is the best practice for Art and Public Places. Your second option is just to go straight to an RFP, and that is not best practice because artists will come to you and they'll conceive out of their mind something for this space and they're not getting paid for it. You could do that. In those instances, often what you will get is artists who have already created a piece of artwork and it doesn't have a home. And so they're like, hey, I'll give you a proposal. I have this thing in my storage, put it in your park. Okay. The other piece is the direct purchase, which you have done as well. An example of that is when Art on the Move happened and the bear came to town and it was downtown, and then Art on the Move left in 2018, and so the artist had to take the bear away and stuck it up in Lyons, and then all the Longmont residents who went into Estes Park was like, there's my bear! Where's my bear? Why is my bear? So then they came back to Art and Public Places and they're like, look, our bear is in Lyons, like when is our bear coming back? And then the commission decided, well, the community really likes our bear, we're gonna purchase the bear. reached out to the artist, they gave us the price, and we purchased it there. Okay. So those are the 3 ways in which our public places can purchase our park.
And do we need to determine that tonight?
Yes.
Okay. What do people think?
So, I'm trying to put like 6 acres, is that about 2 city blocks?
That's a good question.
I'm just trying to get an idea of how large that is. And I was thinking, well, probably a $45,000 piece of property. Well, it could be, something that would have a lot of impact. It's probably appropriate for that space. These are random blocks. Anyway.
No,
it's,
yeah, that makes sense.
And so I like the idea of doing those amounts for the 2 parks. And then I did have a question on when you put out the RFP or whatever you're gonna put out. Would you leave it open to the artist? Say we're envisioning like something that has a part of it being 3D, but we're open to whatever. Because I'm just thinking about Mario coming in from left field or something, but you don't know what people are gonna dream
Well,
up.
we give them guidelines. We create a statement that says, this needs to complement the bridge on Main, it commemorates our flood. It's, this is the space we have, we really like something in mixed media, so we give them ideas. And then they take those ideas and say, hey, here, like the butterfly pavilion, you want a gathering place with shade, you got a pretty pavilion.
And I like the idea of giving them a dollar range that might be beyond the 75,000.
Yeah.
To see what comes.
If we say 75 to 85, say 85,000, does that limit the amount of money we can allocate to the parks?
We just won't encumber the dollars for the parks until next fiscal year. It's no big deal.
Okay. So our choices are RFQ, direct purchase, which I think that we can eliminate as an option in this case, right? All right, so RFQ or the other thing which nobody gets paid for, so we don't like that. So RFQ, we're looking at RFQ.
And what it comes down to is ultimately you get artists who are going to apply for the RFQ and you are asking for mixed media of painting and some mosaic kind of work, and you're gonna have a bronze sculptor apply with all their bronze sculptures. And then that's the moment where you're gonna have to say, this isn't the kind of work we're doing. Or you get someone like Mario, which is a perfectly good example, because he does work in mural, he does work in mosaic, but he also is a sculptor, right? And so when he, as a qualified applicant, looks at it, he'll say, the sculpture I'm not going to include in my portfolio work of examples of the things that I do, but here are the things that I have done. With this type of project, it's big enough that this is not an entry-level artist opportunity. It's going to have to be a fairly robust qualification. But also there is the written piece of it of saying, I've done these kinds of things in this image. It's been, let's say, mostly glass, but I've also been working in ceramic too, and it'll show, a breadth of the kinds of work that we do. This is the area we're talking about. So it kind of does this like, and that's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 houses long. And 2, 4, 6 or 8 houses wide. It's a neighborhood park. It's not huge.
It's probably about the size of one city block.
Yeah, I think so.
I was trying to think, I think our houses in my neighborhood are 1/4 acres. One house is 1/4 acre.
That's pretty good size.
Anyway,
lot over
Yeah.
by 10 million.
Yeah.
But that, probably that size bird could take a size piece.
Yeah. So I think a good, I'm trying to think of other neighborhood park pieces that we have. Collier Park piece, right, is the big courthouse steel.
The skateboard down.
There's Roosevelt Park has all the different pieces of it.
But that's not a neighborhood park, right? I'm just thinking for scale purposes of, New Blue that's in,
Is Thompson
Yeah.
Park a neighborhood?
Thompson's in Yetto.
So that would be,
And Landon, is it Landon?
but
How
that's,
much was the landing piece in Collier Park?
yeah.
The was?
How much was the piece that's in Collier Park?
60.
Was it 60?
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. That would be, something like that.
And don't forget about inflation.
No, I'm not.
I mean, the cost of projects are coming back somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 18% higher than normal.
It's just.
Is gazebo the circular one? That was 44 according to the contract.
Yes, but then he went over budget.
Oh.
And the Art and Public, he had to come back to the Art and Public Places Commission and have received $1.
Okay, and that was 2019. So what would it end up being? 55?
In this day and age, probably more like 70.
Wow. Okay.
And that's probably too large of a scale for a small park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little
Yeah.
But so if a task force does get together, the next steps will be, of course, at Art Walk, we will be soliciting new selection panelists, finding out people's schedule and getting some of the selection panel dates on. And then I'll do a bunch of research of, examples of things that you get for the dollar amount that you're looking at in this day and age. Things that have been commissioned in other towns, but locally, yeah. But that's about a mid-sized piece.
Okay, so we still have to make a motion to approve money for the bridge. Let's do the bridge first.
Make a motion to allocate between $75,000 and $100,000 for RFQ request to bridge.
Between 75 and
100.
And so the scope of work would say that's me.
75 to 100. Okay. And do I have a second?
Also,
All in favor of a scope of work, 75,000 to 100,000 for the Pratt Street Bridge for an RFQ? Unanimous.
Very much.
Okay. Now for Clover Meadows and Fox Meadow Park. These are neighborhood parks.
Yep.
Absolutely going to be made next year.
Yep.
Last year.
As I have been assured by multiple people in the Parks program.
Okay, so we have until you go to the meeting.
Yep.
You have no idea what they're thinking about.
Correct. I mean, yeah, I'm still in the Parks.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they want 15 bronze sculptures with swimming fish down the side of the park, or whether they want Winnie the Pooh in a balloon.
I think moreover, what will come to light is this is the space that we feel, based on our community input and the designs that we're going with, it's going to fit in these possible areas.
Okay. All right, and we're
And you can
thinking.
table it till next month if you want to.
Talk to me.
Or,
I'm gonna spend the money.
yeah, or, I mean, you can allocate, you can always amend your allocation at another time.
I said, let's switch shop and I wanna spend the money.
Okay, all right, and how much money do you want to spend on each park?
I want to make a motion to allocate $45,000 RFQ for each park, Clover Meadows and Fox Meadows.
Okay, and that $45,000 allocation, would that include the money we pay the artist to do so that would be extra? Okay, because I don't want to limit them. Okay, so who seconds that motion? Does anybody? All in favor?
Technically, we should probably do one for Clover and one for Fox, please.
Okay, so that was Clover, and we're still all unanimous.
Thank you. And Melanie seconded?
Yes. And then Fox Meadows.
Make a motion to spend $45,000 on RFQ for Fox Meadows Park.
And a second,
Second.
Danielle. And a vote, please. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
I love only having 5 people. Okay. Traffic box final wraps. We don't have to allocate any money at this time because if they each cost $100 each, we can do 1 million of them. If they each cost $1,000 each, we can do fewer than that.
Yep, and I'm just gonna come back to you and let you know what it's looking like, and, but it would be helpful if there are people who are interested in starting to work with, as, volunteers to come up with images or folks in the park.
Okay, I have
want to work on this one.
I would like to do that myself.
I know, Eric's like, sorry, sir, you just signed up for something else, man.
I would
I
like
have some
to know.
suggestions if anyone would like to.
I would like to know if the final rep people would, well, obviously they'll do whatever we want, but I mean, are pictures that are long and thin, like the one on the end there, better? Or are pictures that are big and wide, like the guitar players there?
A very good question. So I spoke with one manufacturer, and depending upon how much they cost per box, I may or may not have to go to bid. That said, they take the images and proof them on the actual boxes, because Laura and I went down to the corner and measured that one, but then when I was driving and I was on 17th and Main, I know that box was different. So they actually, we can take the number of images that we have, we allocate them to the different boxes, and then they actually pull them and proof them and make sure that it fits properly on the box and things like that.
Okay.
So it may be a crop of an image,
Okay.
it may not.
Okay. So basically, we can just pull out any picture that we think is cool about the history of Longmont.
It can be color or black and white, but I think then your
So
cost changes.
So great.
It's gonna be awesome.
Every
I
aspect
think
of
that we, personally, because they're all historical photos, I would be surprised to see one in color. Of course, historical, I mean,
I
50
think
years
it's
ago,
fun.
everything was in color, so.
I think like 1970s color
So
photos.
glorious.
Yeah, this
Oh,
We're all the brightest
Somebody's-
shot of
We live for this.
With the 1970s color.
The 1970s color photos are the best.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
Rocco
and you
Thorne.
did say
Yes.
cheaper Charlies at 9.
All I can think is
Yes,
the colors in
exactly.
cookbooks.
That's
Oh,
good.
God, that looked good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, those were big.
No, but sepia is
Yeah.
Yeah, see, is this just?
Yeah, well, it's part of it.
So the good thing about this project is that it's your time, whatever time you have available, we can work with the archive staff and we'll just have to fit it in. But I don't think everybody has to meet at the same time. Like it can kind of be this ongoing piece. Of course, working with staff. So
And there's about 5,000 images online, so that's a great.
Oh, we just have
because we have the time to call archive as well.
line.
And then Times Square Archive is, 87,000 prints plus.
Do
I mean, they're not online, they're, you have to look through them, we've got about 500 online.
Do we have rights to the Times call?
Probably just email John, because we have an agreement that the city can use them, so I think that would cover us in this case, but I'd probably just give him a heads up that, hey, this is what, you're gonna see it, and it's a city project.
Legal would probably hide under fair use because it's not for commercial purposes, but we would probably want.
That brings up the question of, these guys are probably dead, but maybe somebody from the 70s isn't.
It's actually not about the people in the photo, it's about who took the photo. It's intellectual
Well, if I
property
was
law.
Farmer Brown and I saw my picture on the side of the street, I might be a little upset.
That was so cute.
When you were younger, so,
Oh, yes.
think about it.
That's true.
It's-
I was young
Such
then.
a weird thing to see yourself
I know.
in a box.
Our hair was just.
So do we have task force folks interested? Daniel's on.
Yeah. I'll make time, I'll figure this out.
Because I got nothing time.
And again, I think we can also spread this out to digital research if you're.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that,
I'm
and that'll
very
make my
much
life a lot
appreciative.
easier for sure.
The question is going to be which ones to throw, to not include.
Right? Yeah, so I think everybody's gonna, whoever's on the task force is gonna have to pick their favorites kind of
think
thing,
so,
and then
yes.
everybody kind of just comes in and brings them to Jen to vote on or something like that. Cause I think that'd be fun too, cause then it adds that aspect that everybody else kind of gets to put their 2 cents into, and we'll all take some favorites. But who's gonna go through, like, that's like a lot of pictures, 5,000 pictures to go through, and not everybody has the time, so take a few
Well,
minutes to
and
go through it.
the task force certainly figuring out, are you going to try and get some like throughout time, or are you gonna stick with like what?
Oh,
You will have lots to talk.
yeah, like,
We'll get, we'll
so
open it
many
up.
great ideas.
But the art on the move, I can agree, like an opportunity like art on the move style where everybody gets to vote on which ones make the short list
Pretty
for
cool.
at least the beginning. See each time.
So that would be fun.
Even if you open it up to just like
So-
commission order the, like even the museum, you know?
Yeah.
You can just keep it simple, but.
So what we need is a count of the boxes that we're willing to wrap.
Yeah, actually, I'm working with the traffic folks right now. They have, of course, concerns of overheating. I'm working with the manufacturer of the 2 kinds of products, one's 3M and one's something else. And I've already been in communication with 3 other towns that do this, and they're like, it's awesome. I'm like, why wouldn't you? So just making sure that everybody's on the same page. But obviously, the traffic people have to be, they have to sign off on it, because they own the boxes.
Yeah. Okay. And
Okay.
what's their initials? Is it just traffic?
Jimmy, Stat, and Kyle's.
No, I mean like LPC.
No, they're just traffic.
They're just traffic.
Public work, they're part of public works.
Okay, cool.
EWMNR,
Oh yeah, there it is, public work and natural resources. Yeah, yeah.
or maybe they changed it.
All right, and then lastly,
Civic Center 2D.
so, one of the other conversations that came out of the executive team is that we do have a lot of buildings, the memorial building certainly being one of them, that they have walls, with nothing on them. And so, depending upon what ends up kind of end of the year of this budget, putting out a call, this would be an RFP kind of situation, no, this would be a direct purchase kind of situation, where we put a call out to Longmont artists or whatever you all think of opportunities for people to submit like 6 or 8 pieces of artwork that they have to go on display, permanent to be purchased by our public places and go on display in civic buildings.
Paintings, photographs,
Wall sculpture, anything that could hang on the wall.
and it has to be, it can't just be a slide, it has to be an actual visible thing with a frame or not as necessary.
Ready to go.
Okay.
And so where we need to start with this is an well, first we need to ask Jeff Reesner if it's okay. Who's my is our big boss. And then we'll have to go around and do an audit of potential spaces, figure out size, limitations of what we have, invite staff of those buildings to be included in the conversation, and then put a request out for artists and collect them, and then do the same kind of thing on the art on the move. You know, you all get to see these things, they're about this size, this would fit here, this would fit there, and then just narrow it down and purchase artwork. So, an end of the year probably situation. So, allocating dollars, we're just not there yet based on.
Yeah, and also, we have to decide if we pay by size or by medium or by what.
They say it's, this is my painting, I sell my painting for $1,800.
Okay.
market value.
Cool.
So if you are interested, I will reach out to Jeff Reesner and ask about this. Yeah. Okay, so that's all the direction I needed. And then next month we'll get task forces for the parks, probably. We do need a task force for the bridge.
Yeah.
Next
I want to
will
be on
on
all the task force, but I
Yeah.
can't. I'm insane to do that.
It's true.
So,
Yeah. Well, but they are all fun, that's for sure.
Therese is in
and
bridge.
Melanie would like to.
We'll be on the bridge? Sweet.
To be on the bridge.
All right, ladies. I will be reaching out to you for your availability.
I'll take one of the parks.
Do you want to do task forces for parks now? It's fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, you can, obviously we have some people on here tonight, but just write me down. You can assign me whatever you want. It all hurts like fun to me.
You're like my house on Thanksgiving. If you're not there, you get assigned all the bench.
All right, so Teresa and Melanie for Pratt, Clover Meadows Park, or do you want to assign task force members for parks?
Can we do that next month when I'd like to work?
Yeah. Let's do it.
It might be more visual, that's no matter.
I think we'll have more information.
And even if you're not on these task forces, the ones where we have selection panels, there's still other ways to be involved. Because we have other tasks, as you all know, as you may know, we have other tasks. There's like time.
But the task force members sit on the selection.
Yeah. There's other things to do. But
Okay.
Angela,
Okay, yes.
did we get those? Booths? Did you?
Oh, shoot, yeah, phone booths, we'll get phone booths. We'll do it under new business. How are we on time?
Okay. We're good. We're good on time.
Okay.
All right, so this is still new business, so VI, phone booths.
Yeah. This is more as an FYI,
Yeah, this is it.
but what used to be Quest, which is now no longer anything, they have phone booths, old ones. Some of them have phones, I think 2 of them don't. Anyway, there's 3 of them in town. One of them is installed across from Ziggy's, and that's in the right of way. 2 of them are in private business land, and they need to go away. And so the LDDA was contacted, and they're like, what do? We figured out the legally of it. They called me, and they're like, hey, Angela, does our public places want some old phone booths? And so I was like, I don't know. So I asked the executive team, and the answer was, heck yeah! So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so what we'll have to do is we'll have to pay to get them removed, which I think means me and Jared and Laura with the Sawzall. And like, it's gonna be fine. And then we have to store them, which we have our shed. We also have, we'll figure. I'm not worried.
They're not like Dr. Who phone booths. They're like, there's one on the wall
They hang
by
on the wall.
Winchell's. If you drive by on Main Street, you can see it there. It's, if I had my thing,
It's like 1980s.
it's got a post and it's got a little 3-sided wraparound.
It's like kind of plastic with like, you know.
Metal, yeah.
Yeah, we need those.
Winchell's is the
Right,
next
we
thing.
So one's at Winchell's, one's at the old gas station across from the pump house. So those are the 2 we have to get. If we want them, we have to get them, and we have to store them. And then the third one just stays, it can just stay in the right of way until we figure out what kind of our project to do with them. And the only thing that the Not Quest lady said was they can't say Quest on it anymore. I was like, okay. So yeah, they were agreeable, and I just need your direction on go get them.
Yeah, we want it.
And take pictures and put them on Instagram.
Yeah.
So as you're doing your musings on your, hyper-allergic or your bored pandas and whatever, like it could be anything. Like it could.
I have ideas.
Aquarium.
I guess they're small. They're
not big.
maps of it.
Not big. Can you put it up on the screen?
Yeah, what did you look Google's? I mean, everybody knows what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't seen one in a really long time.
What's it
Like, what are you doing?
Go down more. There you go.
I'm sending it right now here.
One of them's at the Sago Mat, which is directly across the
You can just
street
say that.
from the pump house. One of them's in the former Sago Mat.
There it is.
But one of them's on the
It's your phone booth that you are not paying any
Right
dollars
there.
for.
Right there.
I mean, you know, it's a,
So great.
Yep, there's
Such a piece of history.
That's something that goes.
that was
Yeah.
so,
Rotary phones.
yeah.
Already have.
So anywho, you know, I went to Meow Wolf. I don't know if you guys all did the whole their phone booth thing. It was okay, but I think there's lots of opportunity, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it does mean that we will have to store them. We're not gonna pay extra years. So.
Get the Sawzall. We all agree that you need to get those. Before somebody else snaps them up.
What if you actually hooked them up and had them like in different places around the museum outside where someone could pick it up and they could hear some famous, somebody from Longmont tell us quick story.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That would be great, but I don't think they have phones that.
Or they could move, like we could install them in like a couple of parks and then next season pick them up and take them to a couple other parks. I mean.
Yes.
It could be a cool way to start the like
Yeah, like get smart.
Like get smart. So anyway, the point one is like, how hard are they to get up? Like, what do they weigh? Obviously, at some point, I'm gonna have to talk to a structural engineer or some management of like, when we put them back in, like how do they have to be bolted, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I'll do that legwork stuff while you make dreams. But this is definitely a 2024, like the.
Yeah. This is just, we need to get them and keep them.
Yeah, so, but clearly we're doing the other favor because they're like, oh, it's just stuff we do. So there, okay, phone booths, so phone booths, there you go.
Okay, and now, art walk on September 19th.
No, it's on the 10th.
On the neck.
On the 9th.
Is the 9th.
I can't read my writing. On the 9th.
So, this is an email that you should have received. You will receive that has a lot of gobbledygook about how easy it is, except that it's got so much language. You're like, dear, please. But ultimately, it says, here's what you do. 3 easy steps, and you just click on the link. Click the link. Oh.
And what are we doing at our work?
We are going to have a booth with the museum.
Are we doing a
It's
little
not
project?
like right now.
I think we're gonna make buttons.
Oh, I love making buttons.
Do what now?
Go the email, I forwarded you the email.
Oh.
That's just the
There we go. And then it populates the sign up, and that's when you get to see that we are asking for one person to come and help set up, one person to be an ambassador from 4 to 6, one person to be an ambassador from 6 to 8, and one person to tear down from 8 to 9.
Okay, so on our agenda, it says the 19th. I know,
It's
it's
the
16th.
It's the 9th.
It is the, I know it's the 9th.
I'm sorry. It's the 9th, and then Rhythm on Roosevelt is the next Saturday on the 16th. And the Creative District and LDDA, along with ourselves and a bunch of cultural brokers and creatives in town, are then pitching that whole week as Longmont's first Arts Week. And so then there's a culmination of existing events that are already happening in town on a consolidated calendar, so you can go and see all of the different opportunities. So what we're asking from you is to join. There's going to be museum staff there. Laura and I will be dividing and conquering, and to go and sign up. And we'll have our Shop Art Box winners on
Yeah,
display.
they consent to us having their boxes. They're gonna say yes, they're all.
And then we will have button making, and then of course, just a lot of information about what it is we do and the applications for selection. And talking about these projects.
And is that at the art walk or is that at the? Okay.
It'll be on May, they close May down from like 3rd to 9th.
And then Rhythm on Roosevelt, please come, but as a volunteer on behalf of Art and Public Places, there will be a museum booth. There will be a facilitated craft something happening, and we will have our information out, but we don't need to staff that.
That's the weekend of it.
And then the weekend after is that, because if you 1, 2 Saturdays, why not do 3? The Saturday after that is the 23rd, which is the Plant by Numbers at Kensington Park.
And that's,
So we will be there, and you don't need to volunteer, but it would be great if you showed up, and you will get information about that. So every Saturday in September, let's get together. Woo. All right, so when you go to, and you follow the link, the one thing you're gonna see on the side is it's gonna populate and steal all your cookies, and obviously scour what you've been Googling in the recent, and try and sell you those shoes you've been looking at. That's the one terrible thing about this app, but it makes it really, really easy for you to just go ahead and sign up. And then it's gonna send you a confirmation, and you're gonna put your
Laura,
name,
send me that email so I can sign right
who
up.
that person is, and phone number. And then after you go through the whole thing, it's gonna say, hey, thanks so much. Oh, and then it's gonna try and sell you more stuff. But, and then luckily Laura and I just get to auto-populate your reminders, and it does the work for us. So, it's not, but
But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I mean, I did art walk with a different community last year, and it was a lot of fun. Just talking to the community, and then the button making is a huge hit. So hopefully it won't be like cold and rainy again.
last year was freezing.
Can I ask you about the butt making? You're gonna have people draw something and then.
Yeah, so it'll be drawing on paper or what?
That's right. I was flying. Just because school cupcake design.
Yeah.
1 year for a convention I was doing, I used a butt maker to make little hamburgers.
You can do that too, yeah.
The only rule on the button making is that the staff has to do the thing, because we need camera. So again, sign up, the reason to show you this is sign up is really easy, and I'm not trying to sell you the shoes you were looking at.
Okay.
All right, and at that,
Social hour.
before we get into that, since Sean is here,
Well,
and he's trying to run away.
yeah, sorry for being late.
No, it's okay.
apologize that. I want to thank you all for the nice card that we received with my father's passing. Thank you again. It's very appreciated. And then just generally, again, reiterating the issue around budget time. You got some things that you want to have put in the budget from your perspective as a member of this committee. That's the and you know a strategy of why it's important and you know why we should implement it in this year's budget. Just send an email to me on there, and then we can make sure that I can carry that forward. I don't have anything because we kind of took some time off here, so just interesting to see some of these things. Good to see you all again.
Thank you for coming to the dedication.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. No, that was great. That was great. It's just a bummer that it had rain.
Yes, right.
That's the only thing. You know, it's like, and then it cleared up and it was all cool. It's like,
That's a Angela Murphy's Law project. Classic. All right. Awesome, thank you. And if there are projects that you hear of in from the city perspective that don't end up on some of these lists where they want to see art in public places? I mean, you might hear about it.
Yeah,
Before I do.
if I hear about it ahead of time, I'm pretty good about it. If I think it's like, it doesn't really seem like it's, that I should be trying to, make that decision. I'm generally pretty good about passing it on to the right people. I have people that come up with ideas and then they'll send it to me. It's like, going, that's not really I have to kind of pass it through staff to see, first off, we have a limited amount of time and resources, and staff, we want to be respectful of that, because these are kind of difficult times, because it's hard to find highly qualified people and people that are willing to make that commitment. So we gotta not push people too hard. I think that we're still at that place where maybe 3 years from now we can kind of go, oh no, everybody can. But now is not the time.
Thank you. Well, the fire departments are certainly on the list. Workman Park, if it ever gets under construction, we'll revisit that, just as a FYI. And if it's like something else that I'm forgetting, the union silos, may or may not, but
Maybe.
okay, cool.
And then you have your social time.
Oh yeah, social time. Jennifer.
So, I thought it was fun. I mean, one of the things that we discussed in our executive committee meeting is that we really like spending time together. We have a great time here, of course, on the commission. But it takes us a long time to get to know each other, because sometimes it's like years before we're sitting with this other person we can really visit. So that's in this kind of, just so that we can get to know each other a little bit better, faster, I propose that we do this questionnaire, which I started to work on mine. So if you could just do them now, it'll just take you a second, really. And if you don't think it's, you want to keep it, you can always submit that answer to them later too. But then somebody will compile them, one of our staff, right?
Yep.
And then you can look and see. So I invite you all to just visit with each other.
I
And
thought we just passed them around and then we could guess what everybody wants.
Oh, I forgot to put your name. Yeah, put your name on it.
Name.
Then you can't guess.
But I will start while you all are doing, so that you can get to know me a little bit more. So I was born in Dallas, Texas, it's true. And I have lived in Longmont since 2016, which is 7 years. And I came to Colorado in 2014 and moved to Durango first, and was in Durango for a couple of years before I figured out that was not the place. So, what kind of work did I do? I actually was in marketing and in nonprofit administration, and I have kind of a checkered career of doing a lot of different kinds of things. Currently, I'm a fiber artist and creativity teacher. My creative work that I do right now is mostly in fiber art, yarn dyeing. I also do some sewing and some designing, and an occasional bit of other stuff. But mostly, I'm so busy dyeing yarn and doing that kind of stuff. That's most of my creative work right now. The reason that, when the city council asked me in that interview about why did I want to serve on the AIPP Commission, I said, well, I really like living in Longmont. I want to see what goes on behind the scenes. And of all the commissions I looked at, this one looked like the most fun and fit best with all my skills and experience. And I did work in public art in Austin. I didn't tell them it was in the 80s that I did this. But I hate it. But at least, I did work in public art, and I was very involved in the very nascent arts community in Austin at that time, because all the artists at that time were like all in their 20s and 30s, and they were all trying to figure out how to work with bureaucracy and developers and rich people and get donors, and it was just like, it was like babes wandering around, but it was pretty fun because it was a good place to start. One random fact about myself, I don't know, what should I say? Ask me something.
How's your new studio?
Oh, my new studio is fabulous. It's at 15th and Main. It's right behind the Pizza Hut, and is really great. I'm getting used to it, and I never see anybody else except for the Pizza Hut drivers who are outside my window in the afternoons. They're all vaping and talking on their phones, and then they go get pizzas and drive, and then come back. That's afternoon. But they don't really see me because my windows are all filled with that coated stuff, so I just have to spy on the driver. It doesn't smell like pizza. That's good news. And I'm getting used to it. Definitely, I'm getting used to it because I have to go to work. I have to get all my stuff organized and drive there rather than just go to the basement and sit there all day. So that's it.
So I think what we decided in the executive team meeting is while we don't have time to go around the room and like give everybody 3 minutes, we'll try and do an icebreaker every time, just something fun. So I don't know if we want to pick one of these things, like just the random thing about yourself and go around the room. And then we're really going to promote trying to have people come, if you can, a half an hour before the meeting. So there is that opportunity to have social time if we absolutely can. But we'll try and do an icebreaker every time so you can learn about the food in my childhood that I hated. Or, you know, I mean, those kinds of things that get everybody in. So Laura, you want to say something that is a random factoid of yourself?
Yeah, we're talking about food.
Yeah, go for it.
If you have never tried it and you like mustard, put mustard in your mac and cheese. It is delicious. It sounds weird, but it's so good. And that was something I did as a kid. I put Franklin's mustard. Yeah, I mean Dijon would work too, but you can. Yeah, I just that's a weird thing that I.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So I am absolutely 100% sure that I am 5th generation Colorado born. It might be 7.
Wow.
So in my free time, I'm going to look into it further. But my great grandmother was born in Leadville in 1903. And the brothers of my great grandmother, there was a ag farm on Flagler, and the mining was, of course, in Leadville. And every 2 years, the families would go back and forth because Leadville sucked. So yeah, I've been here a long time, and I'm never leaving. Never.
Well, it's good that you have been here so long because it's kind of hard to move here from somewhere else.
Right?
Kind of hard.
Is it?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, people ask me, oh my God, how can you live there? It's so expensive. I go, everywhere you want to live. It's
It
expensive.
depends on where you're at.
I don't care to live in North Platte. No, thank you. Or
I live in a good area.
Love it. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Cindy, factoid?
Oh gosh, there's so many factoids about me, I can't even imagine. You'd have to ask me a question because I just.
What about a creative or art related?
There you go. Oh, art related, I make lace.
Whoa.
I make lace is what I do.
Denver.
Yeah, I make, and I've been consulting with the Denver Art Museum on their lace collection.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I'm having a class on the 22nd.
You say lace?
Museum.
Lace.
That's bobbin lace.
Bobbin lace.
Oh.
There's lots of kinds of lace.
Nice. I'm gonna do this class.
It's pretty mesmerizing to watch.
You know, I've watched plenty of videos of all
Yeah.
this, like, that's why I'm very intrigued. I didn't know this.
Well, good thing we're on a task force together.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah.
Your first bobbin.
All right, Melanie, factoid.
I guess a creative factoid. Really hard. I collect hobbies, so I have lots of hobbies. I have to stop collecting hobbies.
I have lots of hobbies before I thought lace. You just have to find the one.
Oh, I know. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's a good random factor. I really love to travel. My boyfriend and I love to travel and go surfing and all sorts of fun trips. Like 6 years ago, we went to Ecuador for a surf trip, and we were hanging out for a couple weeks, and this dog kept following us around. And that's my Lana. So we brought her back, and
Meat product.
Ecuadorian.
So I have to bring it into the country. Really? Yep. When you slave it, you have to claim it as a meat product.
Oh.
Gross.
It is
No
gross.
joke.
No, seriously.
Yep. And then the custom officer's just, what are you bringing? You're like, dog. It's no joke. Cool, all right, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't know what to say because I collect hobbies too and creative stuff. I'm always doing something and jumping all over the place. So, but most recently I discovered the spice sumac, and that led me to buying a Persian cookbook. And now I'm like, all I want to do is cook food out of that cookbook and find anything that I can put sumac in.
It's wonderful. I tried to find sumac for a recipe when we were living in Durango. I think that's one of the things.
You know what? I found it at Safeway of all places. I went like, I went all these different places where I thought I would find it. Safeway.
Okay, good.
Sean, you're up.
Okay,
All right, Sean.
so, strange fact about me, I got struck by lightning in college in Durango. And so now I can't tune in any radio, so that's not quite very, that's not very creative, but I'll walk away and it's out of tune, I'll walk up and it's just sort of this sort of, and sort of thing. It was just a thin, hit the water tower on the college campus and it hit me in the middle back strapped in. But on the creative side, I started my fourth career. I love this. My daughter Molly is doing her, she's graduating from college at Metropolitan State with Media Communications, and she's starting her directing debut. And I played the crotchety old professor in her murder mystery that she wrote and directed and everything. And I played the amateur actor playing in this with these very skilled actresses. One's been in the Spider-Man movie, one's been in a couple of Amazon movies, and one's been in a Netflix movie, and then there's me. But that sort of thing. And so, I see that's my fourth act. Because I was a banker, and then I became a teacher, and then I got into the city politics, and now I'm doing that. So there again, so I figured I could be typecasted in a way. I had very, very few lines. I couldn't even tell people. But it was interesting. We went up to CSU and I got in the lecture halls. They filmed it in there with a class that was doing something there at the school, and then these actresses are there, and they're like, oh. So it was interesting. So that's my experience. Yeah, and when it comes out, she's supposed to be putting it into a couple of festivals. One in Toronto, and one in New York, and another one in LA. So.
And one at the Longmont Museum.
And we're so it's called the Mont. So we'll keep you.
Right, Eric.
So I sing crazy early American a cappella music called Shape Note or Sacred Heart music. And I've traveled as far as England to do it, as well as the South and California. All of it. It's funny. You either really like it, or people will come and they will sit with us. And you can see them being like, this wasn't what I thought. How do I say?
How many people do you have to sing with, or is there a specific number for the Shape Note?
4-part. The most I've ever had in a room sung with is probably 150. And because we sing full volume, it's intense. Your ears sometimes ring afterwards.
Well, I work on cars, but I cannot drive a station car, no matter what. So, there's my contact.
I don't know what my fun fact is. again, like back to like, yeah, a million hobbies, but I do make recycled earrings out of tin cans that they sell at Bootstrap and House for Blues. So I don't know, it's kind of one of my fun random things. But
Cool. You're participating, Sheila.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have to.
Good.
Where were you born? Oh, where were you born?
I was born in London, England. And I've been over here for longer than any of you have been born.
Fantastic.
Are we closing?
Almost.
Okay.
So a note, Angela's gonna be out in October.
Yes, please. I'd like an excuse.
We'll see. Commissioner comments, I think we've already had them. I need a motion to adjourn, unless anybody else has comments. Somebody have a comment they want to make? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. Who's second? All in favor? Adjourned at 8:01.